All right, now we're joined by the SABC's Chief Operations Officer, that's Plaatjes. Mr. Plaatjes, this seems to be an admission, this continued suspension, that the SABC did not consult properly in the first place, is it?
The direct opposite, Francis. This is an admission that the SABC management cares for its employers and has extended the period of providing additional time so that all participating parties can give additional input into the structures and certainly into the alternatives as well. As you know, from a legal perspective, we could have executed on the 189 process without doing anything else. So we maintain that we have negotiated in good faith. The process has been fair and transparent and complete, but we are allowing for additional time so that the staff as well as labor can give additional inputs into whatever parts of the structure that they want to. Yeah. And moreover, into alternatives.
But Mr. Plaatjes, I mean, given the importance of the SABC in South Africa, given that livelihoods are at stake, why were staff not allowed to do that in the first place? Why do you have to extend the time if you didn't do things right in the first place?
That's a good question, Francis, and it's not about not doing it right the first place. We were in the process, as you know, the structures were developed by the GEs and their leadership team. Then we went into a process of sharing that and engaging all the staff members. While we were doing that, it was in the 189 process, the unions asked us to suspend doing that and to do that via the 189 process. In other words, we will share the structures with them, which we did, and then we will allow them to engage with us on the structures, and then they would provide feedback to the staff. As soon as you do that, we've got to abide by the rules of engagement, and that's exactly why we terminated the process of engaging with staff directly.
Yeah. They say you provided, after that process, no time for them to engage with staff members. Your response?
So we provided the structures to the unions. I think it was sometime in August. The actual date misses me right now. But it is months ago that we provide the structures. It is months after that they started only engaging us on the structures. And all that time was lost where we could have meaningfully engaged with the staff together, but they wanted to do it on their own.
There is huge suspicion among workers that this is just a waiting game for the SABC, or a tactic now that government is involved and there's a lot of political pressure. Will you really take the staff input seriously?
And that's a very important question, and I categorically state here that this process is transparent, fair, and we undertake that we will meaningfully allow people to engage in the process and the structures, and we will take their input into account.
So the structures can change. Is that what you're saying? The structure can change?
Most definitely. The way we're going to be doing it is with an OD person meeting with the management of that individual division and allow them to have representatives from the various functional areas in those sessions, and labor can have their own subject matter expert in terms of that division and that function. And it will be jointly discussed then.
Then my next question is, why not withdraw the letters that have been issued? Because I understand the SABC is saying it won't do that. So in effect, you could land up sort of torturing people who may actually get their jobs back in the end, at the end of this 30 days process.
Yeah, I think it's the direct opposite. The torture would be to give people false hope. We are not suspending or avoiding or terminating the 189 process. We are suspending the implementation of that. So if certain jobs are no longer redundant, we will then withdraw that specific letter. But the last thing we want to do is give people false hope. Actions speak louder than words. Yeah. Management has showed that we will make. But
Mr. Plaatjes, if the structures can change, then there is hope. So what are you saying? Could the structures change and there is hope for these staff members, or no, it's a fait accompli and there's no hope and those letters stand?
The structures can change. We are going to be engaging in this in an open way, but we are also very comfortable in terms of the process that we followed up until where we are right now. And so while we are open for those structures to change, it will go through a process. It's not just an automatic thing where I'm trying to defend my own role. It has to make sense within our target operating model.
Yeah. 30 days ends on Christmas Eve, presumably some staff away. These are people who could be affected. Could there be a worse day to pick up again? Why 30 days?
So in yesterday's session that we had with the unions, we had communicated the previous board decision, which was 7 days. The participating parties then asked us if we could extend that time. I said to them, fine, I could take that to the board for deliberations. I've asked them what time frame should I ask the board for. They gave me 30 days, and that's what I took to the board, and that's what the board approved. It will end at the 31st of December. So in other words, the current letters that was sent out to affected employees will now move on by 30 days as well, and that will move to the 31st of January.
All right, I wish we had more time, but we're running out of time. Viewers may have seen on this call anyway. Just the last question. It's been reported that the Departments of Communication and Labour are now sitting and they're trying to come up with 1.4 billion rand to keep SABC operational. What difference does that make, and can that save any jobs?
So two things, Francis. Firstly, I'm not aware of that. And secondly, we need to understand that the salary impact is a result of a new operating model and duplicate positions. So we would still have duplicate positions within the organization. The unintended consequence of duplicate positions is you build in additional activities within the process, and our customers complain in terms of the way of engaging with us. So yes, it will help in terms of the finances of the organization. In terms of the bloated structure, no, we would still need to implement that new target operating model that was approved by the board.
Even if government came and said, here's billions, we're going to try and fund the unfunded mandate, we're going to try and help the SABC out.
Obviously, if government is going to be fully funding the organization, you must understand that government currently contributes 3%, which is about less than 200 million of a total budget of 6.8 billion. So if you're saying government is going to be fully funding us and our funding mandate changes where they're going to be funding us to 6.8 billion, then great. Then obviously all the discussions goes away and changes.
All right, you've raised an important issue, and I've been told I can ask one more question. Basically, the SABC is a commercial operation. Like you've said, government funding, 3% licenses. It relies on advertising spend. And one question I hear staff members asking over and over again is what is happening with the performance management of the sales team? Why aren't we seeing more adverts, for example, on this channel, when we're doing better than some of our competitors that seem to be loaded with adverts? What is management doing about that?
Very good question. And you know what? For the first time, actually, in 3 years, we are reaching the targets on a monthly basis that we are. And that is now post-COVID and despite the depressed economy that we're in. So the sales team is really doing a great job. We've got a new target operating model. We've got new business drivers in there, new value drivers that they are executing on. And we have changed the way that we're engaging with our customers out there, and we can see the fruits of that.
All right, we have to end it there. Thank you very much. That was the SABC's Chief Operations Officer, Plaatjes.